1938, millions of Americans are glued to their radios on a quiet Sunday evening. Suddenly, news breaks that Martians have landed in New Jersey. Panic spreads like wildfire. People flee their homes. Highways clog with terrified families, and police stations are flooded with calls. But here's the twist. It was all fiction. A radio drama called War of the Worlds had just demonstrated the most powerful weapon humanity has ever created: the human mind itself. Welcome to the invisible battlefield where wars are won without firing a single shot, where the greatest victories happen inside your head, and where the most dangerous weapon isn't a gun or a bomb, it's an idea. The ancient art of mind control, 130-4. Long before modern warfare, ancient civilizations understood that conquering the mind was far more effective than conquering the body. The Chinese military strategist Sun Tzu wrote, "The supreme excellence is to subdue the enemy without fighting." This wasn't just philosophy, it was psychological warfare in its purest form. Consider the Mongol Empire under Genghis Khan. They didn't just rely on their fearsome cavalry and superior tactics. They perfected the art of psychological terror. Before attacking a city, they would send messengers ahead with stories of their brutality. Cities completely destroyed, populations massacred, entire civilizations erased from history. Often cities would surrender without a fight, their defenders' will broken by fear alone. The Mongols understood a fundamental truth: fear is more powerful than any weapon. They weaponized reputation, turning stories into psychological missiles that could crumble walls before their armies even arrived. But what makes psychological warfare so devastatingly effective? The answer lies in how our brains are wired. Neuroscientists have discovered that our minds have built-in vulnerabilities, cognitive biases that can be exploited with surgical precision. Take confirmation bias, for instance. We naturally seek information that confirms what we already believe while ignoring contradictory evidence. Psychological warfare experts exploit this by feeding people information that aligns with their existing beliefs, gradually steering them toward desired conclusions. Then there's the availability heuristic. We judge the likelihood of events based on how easily we can remember similar instances. This is why repeated exposure to certain narratives, even false ones, can make them seem more credible. The more we hear something, the more real it becomes in our minds. Perhaps most insidiously, there's social proof, our tendency to follow the crowd. When we believe others share our opinions, we're more likely to hold on to them firmly. Psychological warfare campaigns create artificial consensus, making isolated individuals feel like they're part of a majority. Let me tell you about a man who understood these principles better than anyone else. Edward Bernays, the nephew of Sigmund Freud and the father of modern propaganda. In the 1920s, Bernays was hired by the American Tobacco Company to solve a problem. Women weren't smoking cigarettes because it was considered socially unacceptable. Instead of simply advertising cigarettes to women, Bernays orchestrated something far more sophisticated. He organized a group of young, fashionable women to march in New York's Easter parade while smoking cigarettes, which he called torches of freedom. He positioned smoking as a symbol of women's liberation and equality. The campaign was a massive success, but here's what makes it psychological warfare. Bernays didn't just sell cigarettes, he rewired society's perception of smoking. He took a health-damaging habit and transformed it into a symbol of empowerment. The women who participated thought they were making a statement about freedom, never realizing they were pawns in a carefully orchestrated manipulation campaign. Bernays later wrote, "The conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society." He understood that in the modern world, controlling minds was more valuable than controlling bodies. The Cold War elevated psychological warfare to an art form. Both the United States and Soviet Union recognized that the real battle wasn't just about nuclear weapons. It was about winning hearts and minds globally. The CIA's Operation Mockingbird secretly recruited journalists, editors, and media executives to spread American propaganda. Meanwhile, the KGB perfected active measures, sophisticated disinformation campaigns designed to sow discord and confusion in enemy societies. But perhaps the most chilling example comes from the Soviet Union's approach to dissidents. Instead of simply imprisoning political opponents, they developed a more insidious method. They declared them mentally ill. The message was clear. If you disagree with the state, you must be crazy. This wasn't just punishment. It was psychological warfare against the entire population. It made people question their own sanity for having dissenting thoughts. The Soviets also pioneered reflexive control, a technique where you manipulate your opponent by controlling the information they receive, leading them to make decisions that serve your interests while believing they're acting independently. It's like playing chess where you control both your pieces and your opponents, but your opponent doesn't know it. Digital age warfare. The new frontier, 1330 to 1630. Today's psychological warfare has evolved beyond anything previous generations could imagine. Social media platforms have become the primary battleground, where algorithms can be weaponized to shape reality itself. Consider the 2016 US election interference campaign. Russian operatives didn't hack voting machines, they hacked minds. They created fake social media accounts, organized real protests, and spread divisive content designed to amplify existing social tensions. They turned Americans against each other using their own platforms, their own data, and their own psychological vulnerabilities. The beauty of modern psychological warfare is its deniability. When everything is mediated through screens and algorithms, it becomes nearly impossible to distinguish between organic opinion and manufactured consent. Are you angry about a political issue because you genuinely care, or because an algorithm has been feeding you increasingly extreme content designed to trigger emotional responses? Deep fakes represent the next evolution. Technology that can create convincing video evidence of events that never happened. Imagine a world where seeing is no longer believing, where any video could be fake, and any real video could be dismissed as fake. In such a world, truth becomes whatever the most persuasive narrative claims it to be. Here's what's truly terrifying. This psychological warfare isn't just happening during conflicts or elections. It's happening every single day, in every aspect of our lives. Your social media feed is a battlefield. Your news consumption is a war zone. Even your shopping habits are under siege. Corporations spend billions studying your psychological profile, tracking your clicks, your pauses, your emotional responses. They know what makes you angry, what makes you happy, what makes you buy. They've turned consumer psychology into a weapon of mass persuasion. Consider how recommendation algorithms work. They don't just show you what you want to see. They show you what will keep you engaged, often by gradually escalating emotional intensity. The algorithm learns that outrage keeps you scrolling, so it feeds you increasingly extreme content. You think you're making choices, but you're being guided down a carefully constructed psychological pathway. The most insidious part? We've become willing participants in our own manipulation. We carry surveillance devices in our pockets, voluntarily sharing our most intimate thoughts and behaviors. We've created the perfect infrastructure for psychological warfare, and we've done it to ourselves. But what's coming next will make everything we've discussed seem primitive. Artificial intelligence is being trained to understand human psychology better than we understand ourselves. These systems can predict your behavior, your emotions, your decisions before you even make them. Imagine AI that can generate personalized propaganda tailored specifically to your psychological profile. Not generic messages aimed at broad audiences, but psychological weapons crafted precisely for your individual vulnerabilities. An AI that knows exactly which words, images, and emotions will move you to action. Brain-computer interfaces are no longer science fiction. Companies are developing technology that can read your thoughts directly. When the line between your mind and external systems disappears, the very concept of free will becomes questionable. So here's the question that should keep you awake at night. In a world where your thoughts can be influenced, your emotions manipulated, and your decisions guided by invisible forces, how do you know which thoughts are truly your own? Every opinion you hold, every belief you cherish, every decision you make. How can you be certain it originated from your authentic self, rather than from a sophisticated psychological operation designed to make you think exactly what you're thinking? The most successful psychological warfare is the kind you never realize is happening. The most effective manipulation is the kind that makes you believe you came to your conclusions independently. And perhaps the most chilling possibility of all. What if the very act of questioning whether your thoughts are your own is itself part of the psychological warfare? What if doubt itself has been weaponized?